Look, I have a confession to make. I'm a server-side developer, mostly in Java. That means I don't really know from user interfaces, especially on the web. I'm familiar with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, but I'm not a UI developer. I do, of course, appreciate the value of tests, especially coming from the server side, and it bothers me that I never had an easy way to test user interfaces when one comes up. At least I didn't until now. With a combination of an AI agent tool like Claude Code and the Playwright browser automation library, I can generate and run a complete testing suite for a user interface without writing a single line of code. Welcome to Tales from the Jar Side. Now, this is an empty project except for one file that has a couple of prompts in it that I'm going to supply to Claude Code in order to generate my tests. But I want to show you what I'm going to test first. Here's a test site called Swag Labs, which is located at saucedemo.com. You see that there's a list of accepted usernames and the password for all of them is the same. If I put in that standard user, then you could see what I have here is a list of products. There's a few of them. I already clicked on one to add the backpack to the cart. I can now go to the shopping cart and see it there. I can either remove it or go to the checkout page, which asks for a first name, last name, and a zip code. And you see there's the checkout with the price and the information and everything. I can hit finish and it says thank you for your order. So I just did a trivial little walkthrough. Let me log out now and show you what I can do with Claude Code. So let's take a look at this first prompt. The first prompt says, I want to test the checkout flow for saucedemo.com using Playwright. Please write a Playwright script that logs in, and I gave it the standard user information. Add the Sauce Labs backpack to the cart, go to the cart, complete the checkout process with the data, and verify the thank you for your order message appears. I did want to put in a slow-mo delay of 500 milliseconds because I want to watch this one. I want to see the browser automation happen in real time. I also want to include the so-called HTML reporter because that'll generate a nice test report in HTML form that I'd like to open up afterwards. I say don't run it yet, just generate the code and the installation steps. So let me grab this prompt here, and I'll paste it into Claude Code, which I'm using through the VS Code extension. Okay, now let's go through the output. Playwright uses a client-server model where the test runner communicates with browser instances via some particular protocol, and the slow-mo option adds a delay. Right. So then it checked to see that the project I had was empty, so it created the playwright.config.ts file, and it created a test directory to hold all the results, and created the checkout.spec.ts file, worked through the selectors, and now here are the instructions on how I'm going to run it. It offered to run it for me, but I think I'll do it myself. So let me move this out of the way a little bit, and I'll open up a new terminal. And we see that there's a couple of steps I have to run just once. Let me do the npm, okay, and then npm install -D at playwright/test. Put everything in that tester folder. And now I'll do npx playwright install. And there we are. So the installation is done. Now I want to execute the test. So let's take a look at that. So I'll do npx playwright test -- headed, otherwise it wouldn't show the browser. I want it to actually show the browser, run through the steps, and that way I can see them as they go. And you can see it log in, pick the backpack, go to the shopping cart, complete the process, and shut down the browser. It was still pretty fast. I might want a longer slow-mo, but you do see how it worked. And it even here it says, okay, run npx playwright show report to see the results, and here is my test. So there was only one, it passed. I can go inside it and see that all the steps were executed one by one, showing the code that it ran and everything. Click the locator, find all these things. Everything worked just fine. It ran at about 7.6 seconds. Very good. Let's take a quick look at the code to see what it generated. Let me get that out of the way. And you can see over here how the process worked. Now, I don't read or write TypeScript either, but this is not exactly difficult to follow. It says this is the complete checkout flow. We're going to go to this page asynchronously, and it says go to / fill in the standard user and the secret sauce username and password. Click the login button. Expect the page to have the URL inventory. Click on the Sauce Labs backpack. Expect that to be there, that there's one now. Go to the shopping cart link. Expect the locator to show it. Click on the checkout, fill in Jane Doe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and continue. Finish the checkout and expect it to say thank you for your order. I mean, it's easy enough to read, and frankly, it's not that hard to write, but I didn't have to write it. That's kind of the key. So let me close that. Now, one test, even a browser automation like that, that's just a demo. Let's generate a complete suite of tests and have the entire site checked out here. So my second prompt here says that worked, which it did. Now generate a full test suite for the site, create separate spec files for login validation, both success and failure, cart functionality, product sorting, also configure the Playwright config TS to run tests on several different browsers, Chromium, Firefox, and mobile, both for Android and iOS. So let me copy that prompt and paste it into the chat here and have it go ahead and do all that work for me. Now the installation part's already done. You see, if you want to do all this, all you need is npm so that you could run the Node Package Manager and npx. But that's about it. In Claude Code, I do have to give it permission to make these edits, but that's easy enough to do as well. Okay, let's look at what it says it created. It created playwright.config.ts updated with all those browser types, made a login spec, a cart spec, a sorting spec, and a checkout spec, and we could take a look at all the details if we want to. But right now, I just kind of like to run it. So we could do this headed, but frankly, it'd be easiest just to say npx playwright test and run everything. So I'm running npx playwright test. And it's running through them one by one, cranking away. I can see the success happening as we go. It's currently going to run 60 tests using 8 separate workers. I believe it uses a separate worker for each of the browser types, and it's all finished. Let's look at the report. And look at that. It ran 60 tests, none of them failed, none were flaky, none were skipped. It identifies in each one which browser it was using. There's Chromium, there's Firefox, here is the mobile Chrome, which is the Android browser. Here are the mobile Safari tests, all running on the iOS one as well. And then here's the one that does the checkout part and the login part, with the login failing and succeeding depending on which we use, sorting the products from Z to A or A to Z, checking them from high to low, everything. So it even added some interesting tests that I didn't even consider. And I can always pick any individual test and see the steps that it ran through. I don't know about you, that's amazing. To me, I'm just amazed that I can do that, and I don't know any of this stuff. Now I can, again, go in and take a look at some of these tests to see how does it do the checkout. And there it is. They're easy to read, probably easy to write, but the best part is I didn't have to write any of it. I just pointed it at a site that I didn't even know about until a week ago. And it said, yeah, sure, I can come up with all the tests for this site. Just give me a way to get in. And there we are. So basically, we went from 0 to a fully functional cross-browser regression suite, 60 tests run on 4 different browsers in a few minutes. And I didn't look up any selectors. I didn't worry about async await commands or anything like that. All I did is tell Claude Code to use Playwright, and it did everything for me, which means, of course, now I have no excuse in the future for not putting in a complete set of test cases for my user interface. And I suppose you don't either, but you can come up with others if you prefer. If you want to try this for yourself, again, I'll put all the prompts in the description below. There's nothing really to put in GitHub because you saw everything was just generated from scratch. So thanks for watching and good luck. Happy testing. Hope it works for you as easily as it did for me.